There we go. Fired that Jay Peckham guy.
That wouldn't be hard to do. Low severance, that's for sure.
Well, the pay's not that great. I don't know if we negotiated your contract here, but
as long as I get double what he gets, we're good.
100%, no problem. I can handle that. I can handle triple, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage here. Billy Yurchuk joining me. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
I think this is long overdue, and I don't know why. Well, you brought it up, actually, because, what happened, folks, was we said, this guy does, and we get talking about referees and stuff, sort of, and you brought up the fact that you used to be a referee. Talk about that.
Yeah, so I was, a referee for years. I don't even know how many, maybe over 25 anyway.
Wow.
And, kind of in the prime of my career I started in London. I was in Junior B and Junior C, Junior D even in London. And the very first game I ever did was a Senior A game versus Dorchester Dolphins in Oswego. So, that was really tense.
Right.
And then, then when I came to Sarnia, I continued it on. I did Junior B and did a little bit of Junior A and a little bit of NHL exhibition, actually, when they go to the small towns.
So you kind of know. So this is good, and this is one of the reasons you're here is you can really bring a perspective to I mean, Jay Peckham and fans, they get angry. It was terrible. But you really will have a different perspective on this. Could you, maybe there's maybe a couple of hits you've seen this season or something. Could you give an example of where the fans might disagree with you?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of this year, but definitely one last year that's really poignant is Sarnia was on the road. I don't remember where, maybe Saginaw. And Ethan Dalmastro, who's one of my favorite junior players, he hit a guy beside the net, and the guy slid probably maybe 10 or 15 feet, slid on the ice and hit the boards, and he got a penalty for that. And no, sorry, he didn't get a penalty for that, and everybody thought he should have. And I'm saying, no, it wasn't a penalty. It wasn't a boarding penalty. He's not near the penalty. And I got hammered for it in Sting Nation and all that. But I'm a big Sarnia fan, but I look at the refereeing objectively and try to see, both sides of it, a lot of the game management involved. Yeah. And if it occurs towards Sarnia or towards the opposing team, it's either a good call or bad call. It doesn't matter what team it is. But you're right. All the fans go crazy when a call's
what
called
do you
on
mean?
them. And in most cases, the referees are right. Of course they make mistakes, but, most cases are right.
So, here's a question I've always wondered. You're out there, you're reffing the game, and, you really hear – and I know it's hard to hear out there, right? But there's moments where we've heard it here, this thing where, the whole place, even the opposition is booing and going, okay, come on. As a referee, do you make up for that?
Not so much. Depends on what the score is.
Not officially?
No, not officially, and really not very often, because when you do make up for it, it's just reversed, and you see obvious. The same problem, right? Yeah. Honestly, in baseball, you can make up for a little more. If you miss a strike, you can find a strike, but in hockey, it's a little different. Yeah. Yeah, it is tough.
Offside, and I have struggles with some of the what's allowed to be reviewed. I've always, and I blame it on football, right? Because they started it years ago, right? Yeah. Was the review back in the late 80s, early 90s, I think, when they brought in this review. And everybody, there were huge debates over should this be allowed. I've always been the one that says there's humans playing the game, and there's humans refereeing the game.
Yes.
I don't think Billy Yurchuk or anybody wakes up and goes, I think I'll screw over that team. Yeah, I really don't.
No, you're right.
But now it's we're going to review if that was an offside. Why do we have the guy behind the net with a little flashy light other than dramatic response? Because you can review. Do you think it should just be humans making the decision, or the review? Where do you stand on all that?
Yeah, and I refereed a long time, and I made a lot of mistakes. And the key to me is getting it right for the players. Yeah. It could be a mistake, could be an honest mistake, could be blatant. But if it's going to affect the game, going to affect the score, I am of the opinion that you should get it right, however possible. Yeah. But I think they need to be selective as to what is reviewable. So far, I think they're doing a pretty good job.
You think offside's okay to be reviewed?
I do, because it could have happened, a minute ago or so, and then they score a goal, and it never should have been happened in the first place. Okay. So I do believe that. I guess there's some that I don't feel that they should, and so far they haven't. But it could go too far. But I think so far it's pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
I agree with you, the goal judge. He's kind of useless now. It's for flash a light, and that's all they do. But he is an on-ice official, and he may see something. But with video, they're really irrelevant anymore.
It's part of the experience of being here, seeing the light go off.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we have laughed upstairs, like, well, what do we got them? And we know the guys behind there, so we're saying it to their face. What do we need you for, right? But it's part of the experience.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I'm not, like, people laugh at me, like, I'm not really a big sports guy. I'm a Sting guy.
Right.
I'm an entertainer. I've learned a lot, certainly paying closer attention to the game. But the fans, like, hockey fans, I think, are some of the most intense fans.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that because the entire game is fast-paced.
Yeah.
Like you think of baseball, some people say it's so slow, and I'm a big baseball fan.
Yeah.
But it's usually slow paced with the bursts of action. And even in football, like between the plays, it's slow and all that. But in hockey, it's always fast paced. So the fans usually are, at an 8 or 9 level of enthusiasm, and so they go off really quick, or they can fall really quick. Yeah, I agree with that.
Lots of name calling in your section sometimes, or
well, there's a couple of people. Yeah, I actually would love him to see him on the show so he can make a fool of himself.
Okay, all right.
But, he's pretty nasty.
Send him up.
Yeah, we wish he should. But we actually, I won't name sections, but we actually moved sections because there's a couple of guys who were so disrespectful to the players. Oh, like they're treating them like they're.
I remember off camera
NHL.
you telling me some stories
really
about
sad.
that. It's like, come on, there's language, and there's kids around too, right?
His grandson's there. Like, it's terrible. But anyway, I won't mention where or anything.
Doesn't matter.
But we literally moved sections because of that. Because I come to enjoy this game. This year they're a young team. They're not doing as well as last year. They're in growth mode. They're trying hard.
100%.
And you have to understand how teams grow and how they have to rebuild, and they can't be winners every year.
Yeah.
And it's an entertainment factor. They're putting on a good show. They're giving usually as much effort as they have.
Yep.
And I think that's good. Yes, there's some blatant mistakes. Like I complain about, a couple things, like if they're just, like kind of stupid things to do. But for the most part, they get slammed more than they should, I think.
Yeah, right.
Referees and players, quite honestly.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, you certainly have to have what I call rhino skin to be a referee,
big
for
time.
sure.
Yeah.
There's a reason they go straight to the locker room and don't give interviews.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
and it's funny what optics do, if I can tell a small story.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was a coach in a tournament. He was just yelling and screaming at me for the whole game. And I went up to the bench, and I skated real close to him, and you'll be able to hear me, so this will play work. And I went up to him, and I said, "That's the best looking tie I've ever seen." And I skated away, and I said, "And don't you forget it." So everybody in the barn thought that I was ripping on him.
Right.
And, but I didn't, so I was being respectful, but everyone thought I ripped on him.
Right.
I'll never forget that story.
Putting on the show.
Yeah.
Right. What's here's another thing. Like, I wish referees would be and players would be mic'd. Of course, that would cause a lot of issues.
Wes McCauley's.
We saw that happen in curling, bonspiels. They took that away from the guys real quick.
Yeah, bad.
But referees, are sometimes over talking to the goalie or talking to a player, and sometimes they're just holding on him like this, and they are saying, like, what would you be saying to a goalie? What would you be saying to a player? Are you giving them a warning? Or are you saying, listen, you better settle down, or what?
Yeah, very rarely it's negative. It's usually very positive, nice save, especially the linesman. When the goalie makes a good stop and the linesman goes to get the puck out of his glove, always it's great save, nice catch or patting him on the shoulder.
Okay.
Very rarely it would be a negative or a discipline. The only time really that you could do that, I guess, if the goalie's being rough in front of the net, or they're covering the puck too long, like too early.
Right.
But very rarely it would be negative.
Yeah.
It would always be positive.
So that's part of the job that we don't get to hear.
Yeah.
Is that part of the training? You're like, be positive out there, or is that just an etiquette thing?
A little both. I think game management. As you get older as a referee, like more experienced, they get into less about the rules and more about managing the game.
Yeah.
And it starts at the face-off, like throwing guys out or not, and making sure it's fair.
And safety, I think.
Yeah, and it's all learning to manage the game versus calling the official plays, because you already know that. You knew that earlier in your career.
Well, everybody can do that.
Yeah, so they think they can.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, I could stand over there and do that 100 times.
Yeah.
I think perspective is probably, eyeball perspective. Like if if I'm way down in the corner and I'm calling this over here offside, I'm not, probably. I mean, I know I wouldn't be, but eye perspective probably goes a long way with being a good referee.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. And in positioning too, you'll see the linesmen. They're usually positioned about 2 strides outside the blue line. Because if you're standing on the blue line, you have to look straight down it. But if you're outside the blue line, you get an angle perspective that you can see whether or not the puck comes out.
Oh, right.
Because you'll actually see white in between the puck and the blue, right?
Right. So now if my seats are right at the blue line, I'm allowed to make a call?
Well,
but if I'm sitting way over there, I probably shouldn't.
You can't. Yeah, you can't. But you know you will.
100%, right? Yeah. I'm the guy, like I watch the game from upstairs, right? So I get a different perspective for sure. But I don't know. I'm like, yeah, okay, he called it. Like, I don't even know, like, unless you're doing the review thing.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of grunting about it? It's like both teams have the same referee.
Yeah, and in like 99% of the time, they're going to get it right on camera. So it's really taken away the argument because the referee can call a goal knowing that it's going to be reviewed. So the coach kind of takes his ammunition away. The coach can't yell and scream at him because it's going to go to video anyway, right? So the coaches have settled because, they might get ticked off because they called it the wrong way. But either way, the camera's going to get it right.
Right.
So.
And then as the convert, that was kind of a segue to my next part with the coaches. The conversation, I mean, Al Letang is I praise this guy, I really do.
Yeah.
His philosophies and everything, but he seems to be one of the calm ones. Yeah. But there's been a couple of moments where we've seen him, like, you can tell, like, right? What's the conversations between ref and coaches like?
Well, some coaches, they're just blowhards. They just go all the time. But what that does is that diminishes, I won't say respect, but it diminishes the attention that they're getting from the referee.
Right.
Because the referee's just going to say, you know what, he's always yelling at me, I don't care. Right. But Alan Tang doesn't yell. But when he's yelling, you probably deserve it, you know? And it's not going to change a call ever. But what it will do is it'll get you thinking about the next one and making sure that you're a little tighter. Not so lax.
So there's a little bit of mind psychology going on there between you and the referee?
There is. So the less the coach says, really the better, because they'll maintain the referee's respect, but then when the coach goes off, is usually deserved.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah. Well, this has been great insight, Billy.
Cool.
I got to tell you. Now let's talk about tonight's game real quick. Ottawa in town. Sting have been on the road for a couple of weeks. That's like, I think, 4 games.
Yep.
They won yesterday in Windsor.
Yes.
Great win there, 4-2.
Right, yeah.
And I was talking to Lee Cunningham. Played really well. Not all wins, but played really well. And he was like, to take it to past regulation time against the Sioux.
Yeah.
He goes, there's
time.
No shame in that.
None.
A team like that, especially since the last time they were here.
Yeah.
What are you seeing tonight that I know what you'd like to see, but what would you like to see from this team that maybe's been missing?
I think effort for 60 minutes.
Yep.
You see some fantastic first periods and half of the second period, and then they start to fade a little bit. And I don't think that's conditioning, because Alan Letang does a great job with conditioning. So I think, it's not giving up, even though you probably should lose.
Right.
I always want them to win.
Yeah.
They probably should lose, but you should never have that mentality on the ice, and you have to give
There's
it.
There's an expectation still.
There is, yeah. You and I talked about that the other day. Regardless of the ability level or the experience level, you're right. There's still an expectation. Every one of these guys were the best guys on their team in AAA, and that was only a couple of years ago.
Right.
So there's no reason they can't put that effort here, regardless of the score.
Yeah. Our goaltenders, both of them, have done
fantastic.
Like Nick Strzicka and Chartier in there. Like, they're just both. We've got, dare I say, we've got 2 number 1 goalies.
I agree
on our line. Right,
we had it last year with Benny, and we have it this year with Chartier as well. Yeah, he's young, which is nice, because Nick obviously will age out before Chartier, and then then we'll have him, and then who knows who will come behind him. But you're right. I have as much confidence regardless of who's in net.
Yeah.
And Chartier's got a bit of an edge to him. Like he'll hit guys in the front of the net. If some guys hit him, he's on them.
Yep.
And that's he's not rude or disrespectful, but that edginess I think helps his game and helps the defenseman.
100%. Going to be a great game here tonight, I think, against Ottawa here. We've seen the fight come out in Sarnia Sting.
Yeah.
A little more aggressive team this year, like when the bear gets poked. Jay and Lee and I talk about that as far as this team has become more likely to respond when they get poked. They're like, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
We don't want to do this, but there's a few guys on there that will.
Yeah.
Dalen Moses starting to stand out again for this team.
Yes.
When the draft happened, there was a couple players that were gone, and I think some people were like, oh.
Yeah.
But, were you surprised at the as little of trades that happened? There was only a couple, really.
Yeah, and I really wasn't because, we love Sandis. Sandis is our favorite player, and it was sad to see him go to North Bay. We're actually going to Niagara Sunday to watch him play.
Oh, nice.
But it was the right thing to do because, he's still has tons of value in a team that's going to make a run for it this year.
Yeah.
And, he may be around next year in the OHL, but he could not be. He could be in the AHL because he's a solid player. He's getting stronger. So same with the LeBlanc brothers.
Yep.
It would be nice to have all those guys who would get a few more goals, but we may squeak into the playoffs, which I'm very optimistic. They have a great shot, but it's not like we're going to finish second.
No, I get you.
So they get rid of those guys, unfortunately, but the feedback or the
part of the
comeback
game,
coming back is all the young guys, like the two young guys we got out of North Bay. Like they're going to be strong players.
Yeah.
So
definitely a rebuild team. I mean, Dylan Sika, Coach Letang have both fully out loud said, we're not naive to the fact of what we have going on here right now.
Yeah.
But there's still the expectation.
Yeah.
And conversations around the OHL would say that there's a strategy always in trades and drafts and all that sort of stuff. And there's a great team behind the Sting team, like as far as coaches go and the staffing goes. So they're definitely up to something, right?
Yeah.
But for the meantime, we want to see them play hockey and come out against Ottawa with would be a really big win here tonight.
Yeah, sure would.
And keep moving along. You're welcome. And Craig Boucher won some tickets I gave away earlier.
Oh, good. Awesome.
So, we want to see the strongest effort possible that we know they're capable of here. So
absolutely.
Let's tighten up the skates and get going, I guess is what we want to say. Billy, thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank me.
Giving me that perspective. Bill's going to be back to join us between first period and second period. We got rid of everybody else tonight and giving Billy the spotlight. So join us back here for that. Of course, later after the game tonight, we'll have a press conference in the restaurant. Something I do want to mention before I forget, and I almost did, they're going to have, I don't have my production guy here. Here we go. The Sarnia Sting trading cards are now available for that, right? I know Jay Peckham's all over that one.
Yeah, he is.
You get an opportunity to come here on February the 8th before the game, around 6:15, 6:30, and they'll be here signing the cards in the restaurant as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so do you collect the cards?
Last year I got 2 sets, and one set is completely signed, so I was happy with that. I got a couple of those special cards, but of course Jay's whining that he didn't have all 4, so I gave my special.
Oh, you gave in, did you?
Because I knew I wasn't going to get all 4, and he was close, so I gave them to him.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, fans, thanks for watching. Now, we do something specific here at the end. I'm going to count to 3, and we'll say go, Sting, go. I don't know if you know that or not.
No.
All right, so live from the concourse with the Sarnia Sting, I'm David Burrows. This is my friend Billy Yurchuk, and here we go. 1, 2, 3. Go, Sting, go!